And welcome back to the Back in Time podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Autry, alongside my co-host here, JD. JD, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm having a day, so I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty excited to jump into this. I know we've got a special guest that will be on in any moment. If you don't know, it'll be a surprise for you. If you do know, that's why you're watching, because he's obviously beaten the fourth power over everything that we can ever accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are listening to Why Did This Flop? Explorers, which is volume 2 of our YouTube exclusive podcast here, video podcast. And we'll be breaking down some clips and diving into everything that is Explorers and trying to figure out why the heck this movie had so many issues. Because it is a bit of a cult classic these days. So I think there's a lot to talk about. But before we do, I guess we should talk a little bit about episode 1 of Why Did This Flop? We covered Waterworld. We dealt with some YouTube issues and some blockage and had to do some editing to kind of get around it. But what'd you think about our first episode of Why Did This Flop?
It was a lot of fun. Like, it was so cool to dive into Waterworld to discuss it and in its entirety and like what it means to society and culture, and why, just to try to figure out why did it flop. And I think we got to the bottom of the barrel for it, and I really think we did a good job, and nothing but love and good positive feedback. So thank you all for listening to that episode, and there's more to come.
Yeah, definitely. And if you have watched that episode and you're wondering why the screen goes completely black at some points, it's because we had a little bit of issues with trying to basically get the videos on here. I didn't realize that you had to pause a video every 10 seconds or they flag it. So not cool. But yeah, our guest is on his way in, by the way. I just need to resend him the link. But JD, tell everybody a little bit about our last episode that just dropped, which they can watch on YouTube here with Bud Brutzman.
Yeah, that was probably might be one of my favorite episodes. Obviously, we are the Back in Time podcast. We've covered and interviewed many people that are involved in the pop culture behind Back to the Future, but this new documentary that just dropped on Discovery Plus of them rounding up the last of the DeLoreans, and Bud dropped nothing but trivia and knowledge and a story with that bounty hunter that's going to stick with me for the rest of my life. I couldn't believe they gave me a shotgun and I came up the stairs and they flanked left and right and I was at the door and they were like, go ahead and knock. I was like, geez.
Nope. I will tell you this. I did binge through the entire 4-part series. That documentary is freaking awesome.
Okay.
It's great, man. There's so much stuff in there that I was just like, I had no idea about this. Like, what happened to the cars? Like, some of them, they literally piece back together. Like the one that gets hit by the train at the end of part 3 that destroys on the train tracks. They put that thing back together and put it on display. Yeah, at Universal. So there's so many like nice little surprises, and there's actually like acting involved too. Like, it's not just like a straight documentary. It's like it's more like a TV show where they, they've got the picture that's like fading away the whole time. They're like, we got to find this car.
That's awesome. No, I love that a lot. And audience, Kyle, very much. I'm not a documentary person, but you've turned me on to quite a number of documentaries that have been enjoyable. We did The Pretender in our archives. Shout out to Dave, because I know you're listening and you're going to call me out on it. And there we go. There he is. The angry dad himself has joined us. Ben, how the hell are you?
Oh, your audio's not working yet, bud. Try that. Try settings and make sure it's on your mic. I had that issue first time in.
Any better?
There we go.
There it is.
All right.
There's his velvet voice.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I got a Mac computer, and I had to download Chrome for it before, but every time I tried to use the link, it kept putting me like download Chrome again. I'm like, why do I need to download it if I fucking got it already?
That's a problem. But what are you doing not on Chrome to begin with? Are you on Safari?
Yeah, I use Safari for Apple everything. You know what I'm saying? I don't. The only thing I use this computer for is literally just for podcasting. I don't use it for nothing else because I do not do anything else on the web but social media. But everything on that's just off my phone. And look at that baby.
Look at dad life, man.
That's it. That's our real talk right there.
My wife's working, so instead of her crying in the background, she'll just chill here for a little bit.
Co-hosting of Back in Time podcast.
Say hello to the kiddo.
That's it.
Little Ashlyn making her debut. So, but no, I'm looking forward to us kind of diving into this because, I mean, Ben, was this a movie you watched growing up?
It came out in '85, so I wasn't quite old enough to remember it when it came out. But I did watch it all the time on syndicated TV. It'd come on channel 12 or channel 20, and I just remember watching it. And you know what? It's funny as hell because I remember it being so much better when I was a kid.
Well, I think I will be able to kind of explain why it's a little like jumbled when we get to a certain part of the movie as we kind of dive into it here. But JD, what about you? I know you're not the biggest fan of Explorers. I know that from previous conversations. I have a love for it just because I saw it early on, but where do you kind of fall?
It's definitely a movie that was not on my radar as a child. Again, 1985. The year of our birth, so it's not something that I was seeing in theaters. It's not something that I would have caught on VHS at a young age. A massive fan of Joe Dante as it is. Shout out, Joe. I know you're listening and watching. Hi. But no, I mean, this is something that slipped under my radar until it was Chris Clues that brought it up, right?
Yeah, Chris had mentioned that it was a movie that flopped, and I had no idea. I was like, Explorers flop? Like, man, I've watched this movie so many times over the years. I just never bothered to jump on Box Office Mojo and see how much money it made. But yeah, no, it's a true flop. Like, I'll explain kind of what happened leading up to it, and yeah, there's a lot to discuss. But I mean, it's a cool story. Like, what are you doing? Yeah, sorry. So it's a cool story because I mean, it's about three young kids who make their own spacecraft out of like stuff they find in their backyard, and they go and they find this like broken down old carnival ride, and they turn this thing into a spaceship, and then they learn that this alien race is trying to contact them. Like, there's not a lot of movies like that. I mean, E.T., the alien comes to them, and this one, the kids are going to the aliens, which is a little different. But I mean, of course, with the craze of E.T. that came out in '83, everybody was trying to duplicate the success because it was in box office, like top 10 for how many weeks, JD? We covered this. Like, it was like 50 something weeks.
It was
in the top 10.
Yeah, it's an insane amount of weeks. If not like a full year that it just lasted. And, again, jump into our archives, listen, shout out to Dave because he always loves the shout outs. He texted me and he's like, "Did you just give me a shout out from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode?" I was like, "Hell yeah, I did."
Of course you did. All right. Well, let's dive into some of the facts here. So a little bit of production notes, and we'll kind of just dissect this thing here a little bit. So the first issue Explorers really ran into is the film was never finished. So Joe Dante said that the studio basically demanded him to stop editing the movie so they could rush a July release, which ultimately got overshadowed by the Live Aid concert, which came out literally the day after they got into theaters. And apparently they left a reported 90 minutes of film on the cutting room table. Man, so there was a lot of spiritual stuff that went into this that never makes it in. There's a lot of like character development, and all of it was just cut out completely. So, probably a lot of the things that we love about Gremlins, he just never gets to do this with Explorers, which is crazy because Gremlins was great. Like, why do you not just let this guy do his thing? But Ben, what do you think about after hearing that?
It's funny because you can tell where the editing stopped in the movie. You can literally see the point where it's like, this is no longer a movie. This is just a whole bunch of random things that are happening now. And it was just so crazy because I rewatched it this morning. I was like, you know what? This is coming up. Let me get it fresh in my head. It's on Amazon Prime for free. So, I pop it on and I'm watching. I'm like, I remember this being a completely different movie.
Right. I mean, I know exactly which point you're talking about. It's like everything just stops because I watched it with my son like a year ago, and he literally like left when we get toward the end of the movie. He's like, this is boring.
Yeah.
But everything up to it, like he was hooked.
Oh yeah, like the whole intro, the whole beginning is like, man, this is really setting up to be something good because that's the whole purpose of these movies is to fucking lock you in, and then it fizzled out like fucking almost not even halfway through.
Yep. Now, JD, the second point here, and I mean, I'll let you kind of speak to this as somebody that writes movies and works with people who direct. The studio at one point was looking at one director, which was Wolfgang Peterson, and then they decided to go a different direction and not go with Wolfgang. And how much do you think that might have affected? Because he was the one that really wanted to tell the story.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question because a lot goes into the conceptualizing of a movie from the stage of writing to pre-production to going into production, where you've got actors in mind, and I'm sure we're going to touch on that in a little bit between some of the stars that are in this. But I mean, the best way to do it is to take somebody like Quentin Tarantino, who's going to deliver a certain kind of film. Then you take somebody like Wes Anderson, who's going to deliver a different kind of film, and swap them. And you just could never do that and accomplish successfully what you were hoping for. Like, the vision is gone. Right.
Yeah, vision's gone. And I mean, you look at Wolfgang Peterson, like the movie he did right before this one was Never Ending Story. I mean, it really kind of fits in nicely with this one. I mean, because Gremlins is more, I'd say, more adult driven. Never Ending Story's got, it's about kids. So,
and it explains the ending. No,
I think it also explains the name of River Phoenix's character, Wolfgang. So maybe a little shout out to him. Like, hey, we didn't hire you, but we named this dork after you.
Well, I'm sure he got a check that he cashed at one point in there. I'm certain of it.
Right. Yeah, you gotta imagine. The other thing that was kind of wild is not only did they change directors, but they changed studios at one point, and they really rushed the production. And Dante said in an interview that the paint on the sets was still wet, and the kids were like stepping in it. And at some point, they had gotten onto the spaceship, and the cement wasn't dry, and the kids were sinking into the cement. How crazy is that?
That is insane.
That's a funny little quip for sure. I mean, can you imagine being these young actors? We haven't name dropped the leads yet, but I mean, this is amongst their first movies, is it not?
Yeah, it's both of their first movies. It's both their debut.
Okay,
yeah,
and to be Ethan Hawke or to be River or is it Rivers? I don't know.
Yeah, River.
River. You got it.
He's only one river. He's not a tributary. And to go through like that level of like, well, this is what Hollywood is. Let me do a bump of cocaine.
And that's how you kick it off.
That's a party.
Well, I mean, yeah, you kind of led me right into it, JD. We definitely have to talk about the cast. And, for what it's worth, I don't think the cast is the reason this movie flops at all.
No, not at all. This line, I was going through it and I was like, what the hell? And like, I was going through the cast numbers, and I swear to God, one of those boys was the brother from Home Alone.
I hope you're right.
I'll scroll down and see if he's on this casting list. You might be right though. I'll definitely scroll down here in a second. Okay, but let's start with the leads though. So you got Ethan Hawke as Ben. You've got River Phoenix as Wolfgang, and you have Jason Presson as Darren. Now, River Phoenix actually auditioned to play Darren. That's the role that he wanted, but because of the way he grew up and really, didn't live in the United States all that long, they just felt that he really couldn't relate to this kid. And they ended up, switching him to Wolfgang, and he didn't like the role at all. Wasn't happy that he got cast as like this dorky, like real smart kid. Which is funny because if you look at Stand By Me, which is just like a year or two later, like he kind of plays that role and is phenomenal in Stand By Me. So where he comes from like the broken family, and they were like, no, this kid's not capable of this. And then Rob Reiner's like, hold my beer. He certainly is. Of course, you've got the great Dick Miller makes an appearance in this movie.
Oh, yeah, and everything.
Yeah, literally every Joe Dante movie, I believe he's in.
Oh, yeah. I was doing a little bit of digging on that, and they actually played tribute to Gremlins in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I'm looking to see if
when I looked through it, I didn't see any actors for the bullies in the IDB or in any of the castings, but I swear to God, it looked just like the brother, and it had to be. I was like, red hair, everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which brother are you talking about specifically? Are you talking about Pete and Pete or Buzz McAllister?
Buzz McAllister.
Okay. He's had a resurgence in modern years, and he's
popped up.
Yeah, he has popped up. What was that, Blue Ruin that he first came back in?
Yeah,
that's a hell of a movie.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's talk about the director. So Joe Dante, obviously the man has a great background. I'll pull up his IMDb in a second, but JD, I know you're a massive Dante fan. I mean, what do you think about him kind of being at the helm here?
His attention to detail is so fantastic, and the way that he marries different genres. I mean, do you remember Small Soldiers?
That was a classic.
Great movie.
Hell of a classic. I mean, Gremlins, The Burbs is one of my all-time favorite movies because it's funny, it's scary, it's action-packed. Corey Feldman, Tom Hanks. I mean, everything about it is just like ridiculous. And I actually, like, little side story, was circling a project with him a few years ago where he was going to be attached as the director, and we just did not nail it down. So I personally, that would have been like a geek out moment more than the time that I met Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, tough break, Cotton. Gotta see how that plays out. I think Dante's great. I mean, Ben, were you a fan of his as well?
Well, just right off, like I said, Gremlins, Small Soldiers, Burbs, like these are all movies that I grew up on. So like a lot of times you don't even know a lot of these directors when you're kids growing up because you're just enjoying these movies. And then when you go back and find like this person created all these movies, and Small Soldiers, I didn't even realize that was in his IDPM. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I went to the drive-in theaters to see Small Soldiers.
Hell yeah. And look at that. He did 5 episodes of Erie, Indiana. Do you guys remember that show?
Man, hey, I used to watch it every morning.
Hell yeah. I love that.
Shout out to Stu Stone, former guest of the show.
There we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, awesome. And then, one of the things I had read was Dante also, he's not real happy with a lot of things on this movie, but one of the things he really did not care for was the poster. We've never really talked about posters on here. So obviously, that's a huge part of marketing a movie is, you've got the poster out and kids see it at the theater and they decide that's something that's cool and they want to go see it. So let's pop that up and take a look at it too. Get your guys' feedback here.
Did you guys see the trailer for this? Oh my God, it was just as bad.
We're going to play the whole thing.
All right.
Yeah. So let me find it here. Boom. Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll give you his feedback and then I'll let you guys kind of speak on it here. So what Dante said is he hated the poster. He really didn't like that it said from the director of Gremlins. He thought that was a little cheesy. And he said, quote, "It looked awful." He said that it looked like tar paper. And then obviously you can see they're kind of cashing in here with the bicycles. I mean, they're barely on bikes, but that's an ET thing. Space, bicycles, BMXs blew up after ET came out. And I don't know. I mean, the adventure begins in your backyard. What do you guys think about the poster? I'm not crazy about it, if I'm being honest.
It's a bullshit poster right off top because it doesn't symbolize anything in this movie. You know what I'm saying? It looks more like an alien invasion or paranormal poster because it's like it does not at all reflect. Like if you would have had a picture of River Phoenix and Ethan Hawke on it, guess what? That'd have been just a better poster than that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right.
Two guys. Yeah.
Wouldn't it have made more sense to show them like in the spaceship with like a helmet on and you're like, what is this like makeshift like tilt-a-whirl looking thing? What is this?
You know what? If it would have been a clip of when they were getting chased by the helicopter with the gas mask, that would have been a poster.
Yeah. No, I agree. JD, thoughts on the poster?
So I'm going to agree and disagree with you both just ever so slightly, because I agree with what Ben said. This is not telling of the movie that you're about to watch. But as a standalone poster, graphic design wise, it's actually pretty cool. And I'm okay with that. But yeah, I don't think that you see this poster and think, I'm going to get the adventure that you're promising from this art.
No, I don't know. I think it looks like shit. The more I look at it, I'm just like,
well, we see the movie, so of course it doesn't reflect anything. Right. But if you came at this poster blindsided, it almost looks like Poltergeist. Like you could have replaced the top, put Poltergeist, and it'd have been a Poltergeist, poster to me. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? That was part of the writing, and part of what got cut out was they had some Poltergeist in here and some nods to it, but never made it, unfortunately. So we have to talk about the trailer. So for purposes of us not getting kicked off of YouTube, I'll play about 20 seconds. I'll pause it. We'll talk about it, and we'll just keep going until we get through this thing. So let's watch this trailer. I'm curious. I have not watched it. I want the old VHS copy here.
They were just like everyone else. They dreamed of going to the stars. But unlike everyone else,
what's going on here?
They discovered a way to get there.
You dreamt it, I built it, and it's our secret. It's pretty neat, huh?
Then they took it one step further.
I christened thee the Thunder Road.
And it worked.
Look how...
Okay. I think we're off to a good start. I like this. This is not bad so far. What are you thinking, Ben?
This is a better one than I've seen because I watched the trailer on Amazon because they give you the ability to watch the trailer. So I watched it. This is not even the trailer they showed. The trailer they showed was music, the words, and then it was just like wind blowing in a backyard. And I was like, this is bullshit. But this is a little bit better than what I seen. So
I watched that trailer as well, Ben, and I'm in complete agreement with you. So I have not seen this either, Kyle. Yeah. And if I had seen this, I would have been fully torqued to jump into this movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's not get too torqued. We're only a few seconds in. Let's see how it plays out here.
That's what she said.
I think we could go anywhere. Do you realize what it means?
Now they're about to find out just how far it can go.
Let's face it. Somebody's calling us. Let's go.
All around the world. Did you see what I saw?
I gotta stop it there. We're off track. They're getting off track here. I'm not sure where they're going with this. I like that Dick Miller made the trailer, but it feels like they're losing it now. Much like the editing of the movie.
It feels like a National Lampoon's movie all of a sudden.
Right.
It does. It does.
Oh gosh, let's see how this finishes up here.
They're here.
All around the world.
I don't think he ever
Rock and
says
roll
that.
is on it,
You
man.
did.
And you can hear those jukebox jumping all night and all through the day.
Explorers.
We come in peace.
The adventure begins in your own backyard.
Interesting. So they tried to bring it back to that more serious tone at the end here, but oof.
Well,
What'd you guys think?
This is a little better than what I saw. So I like seeing this kind of trailer. I'm more into watching the movie than I was with the last trailer.
Having seen the same trailer, I'm definitely with you, Ben. I think this presents a much different, less dramatic, more fun trailer. This trailer sucks. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Like, this sucked.
Yeah. I thought it was going great until it got to like the boom, bam, 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 bam. Like, it's like, who decided that? Like, we had a nice, like, serious tone trailer going. It had ET vibes, and then they get to the spaceship, and it's like, we fucked it. We've completely screwed this thing up.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of not understanding the product that they had, which is what a lot of companies and businesses and movies and video games and reboots, what happens to them is they don't understand the product. If you look at the Mortal Kombat movies versus the video games, did anybody that produced Mortal Kombat ever play the game?
Very true. Very, very true.
I'm hoping that the new one that's coming out next month, I hope somebody played the damn video game, because that trailer looks pretty cool, and maybe we'll get something worthwhile. But I really think they just didn't know what they had on their hands here. They were cooking blindfolded, and they just shit the bed.
Yeah, they chopped this together and then threw in a little bit of jazz rock to spice it up. You know what I'm saying?
Take out the papers in the trash. Like, what is going on here? So let's get into some box office talk here. So the movie had a pretty hearty budget. I mean, it's a $25 million budget for a 1985 movie. So there is some money behind it. Unfortunately, if they would have just left it alone, I think it would have played a lot better, because originally they were shooting for like an August-September release, and Dante gave his like first initial cut of the movie in the springtime, and it was like 3 hours long, and they basically like pulled the plug, and they're like, no, we got the perfect date, and it's in July. So the issue with that is, and I'm going to pop up the box office numbers here so we can take a look at these here while I'm talking. But the issue with that is Back to the Future, little known movie, came out on July 3rd. They put this out on July 12th. That gives them 9 days for people to talk about Back to the Future, which obviously did very, very well at the box office, instead of giving it 2 or 3 months. And then there's this new movie about space and, you know, traveling and stuff like that. And then also Live Aid. How big was Live Aid? If you guys watch that Bohemian Rhapsody movie that came out about Queen, you know, that was kind of my introduction to Live Aid, because obviously I was like a toddler at this point. Actually, I was like 15 days old when this came out. So I had never gone back and watched Live Aid, but I started checking it out. I mean, that's a massive concert. I mean, if you had to guess, like, Ben, I mean, how many people do you think went to Live Aid?
Oh my God, man. It's like, I think it was like a world record set on that one. So like, man, like most places hold like a max 60,000. Right. You know what I'm saying? So like you just could only imagine, like, at least in 100,000, I would say. Maybe I might be over guessing, but I would say that.
Right. Live Aid's huge, and that was like the comeback for Queen too. So attendance 72,000.
You know,
I mean that's still. I mean,
yeah, that's nothing to scoff at it there. You know what I'm saying?
No,
hell no.
Not at
No,
all.
I'm looking. I mean, there's a whole Wikipedia designated to world's largest gatherings of people, and it gets up into like the 50 million.
Yeah.
So when you compare it to like that, and I want to say when the Cubs won the World Series, that placed on the map for largest gatherings competitive to Live Aid, but
right.
Nonetheless, it monumentous.
Yeah,
for sure. So the movie comes out on the 12th. Obviously, there's a lot of competition with Live Aid. There's a lot of competition here with Back to the Future is only in week 2. Mad Max comes out in their first week at the same time. Cocoon's only in week 4. You got Rambo Part 2 still in there. Pale Rider. They've got Silverado.
Man, I can't believe it built up Silverado.
The Goonies is still hanging on at week 6. I mean, so if they watch this movie and go, Explorers is all right, I'd rather just go see Goonies the second time.
Or Red Sonja.
To be honest.
Oh, hey, I love Red. I'm a Red Sonja fan. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it's in the top. All right.
Hell yeah. Oh, so Fletch is in there too.
I know. That's all I was just saying. Number 11. Man, Fletch even made it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just crazy because like the deck is completely stacked against Explorers. And if they would have kept that August, if they would have like fucking blown it out the water, especially if it would have been edited correctly, and just the talk around town would have been fucking like it'd probably hit number 1 box office if it was done right.
Well, look at the buzzsaw that comes out the next weekend. E.T. gets re-released in the theaters.
Oh, talking about wanting to stick it to the man.
Right. Universal was like, oh, that's cute, Paramount. You guys think you have a kids movie about aliens. Okay. Re-release 1985 brings in $8 million. 8.8. Explorers barely makes $8 million total. Yeah. And that was just in the first week.
Yeah.
So I am interested though. Let's look at what came out in like I'll just go this way. Let's see if it would have came out in like late August, early September.
All right, let's see here.
Okay, Back to the Future is on week 10.
Yeah,
Teen Wolf was kind of a modest movie. Pee-wee's Big Adventure is already at week 5. There's literally no movies getting released on this date.
Yeah, because
nobody in Paramount decided, hey, why don't we do September 6th?
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They could have did it much better.
So they would have been number 1 movie that weekend, no doubt, because they made that much in the 6 hole in July. And then next week, no release. Look, the only movies that got released weren't even in the top 10.
Oh.
Creator comes out, so 3. We're looking at 4, maybe even 5 weeks before. Yeah, 5 weeks before Commando would have probably knocked him down the list.
Yeah, Commando would have knocked him off the list.
Yeah, but they probably would have still been ahead of Teen Wolf. So they're probably sitting at like 5-6 weeks at box office. Man, left a lot of money on the table, Paramount.
A lot of money on the table. Can you imagine the person who put that out?
Yeah.
The executive that made that call, and then they're like, what did you fucking do?
Right.
You're fired.
Your ass is fired.
Vince McMahon just fire him on the spot. Yeah, they had to.
Yeah.
So let's see if the critics heard it as well, because I am curious to see, like, did they crap on this thing? Was it something they thought was pretty decent? Wow, 77% on the tomato meter, so it actually got reviewed pretty well. Gosh, that's got to really chap Dante's ass.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, look at that. 4 out of 5 are pretty positive here.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
talk about bad timing.
Yeah, Kevin Thomas kind of nails it. He calls it bubble thin, but it glides gracefully on the charm of the 3 young heroes. So, I mean, he can tell that some stuff's been cut out of it without probably even knowing at that point. Familiar space trip, but they make it fun. Looks terrific, moves along at a gallop, good natured. I mean, Joe Dante's sense of humor. There you go. I mean, it's got a little bit of everything in there, JD.
Yeah, no, it totally does. And I think it's surprising that the critics reviewed it so highly, knowing that Joe Dante's cuts, which maybe one day we'll get, is the one that they saw.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I hate to ruin your idea there. He tried to find the footage a while back. It's gone. Can't find it.
That sucks.
So,
I've done that.
Release the Dante cut.
Release the Dante cut. I'd rather watch that than the Snyder cut.
Which, by the way, I don't want to get into the Snyder cut, but I did start watching the first part. It is way better than the first version I saw in theaters years ago. So I'm only a couple minutes in, but already just from tone and look, I'm like, this is better.
I won't watch it because I tried Batman vs Superman and tapped out after the first 90 minutes. And after that, I'm like, I can't do DC movies anymore. I'm sorry. I'm done.
Right.
I'm going to watch it because it's what I'm going to do, but yeah, I'm on board with you. DC movies have not at all stepped it up.
No, they're chasing the MCU.
Yeah,
in my opinion. And obviously, if you enjoy the DC movies, no harm, no foul. But
exactly
right. In my opinion, they're chasing.
Okay. All right. Well, let's finish up our Explorers talk here. So, over time, this movie really has gained a cult following. Especially people that are fans of Dante's work, and science fiction fans seem to really like it. It's kind of a family friendly type of movie that they can show their kids. So, I mean, for you guys, Ben, and I'll start with you. I know I want you to tell me where you think it goes off the rails, but I mean, what do you think the lasting effect is of this movie? Even though it didn't make its money back or even come close to it. What do you think is made this movie kind of stick around?
And I'm going to be very, like I said, I'm into crazy shit. I do another podcast with my wife. You know what I'm saying? I love aliens. I love aliens. I love paranormal. I love Bigfoot. I love that shit. But the thing is there's a lot of talk in this movie, which I fucking wish we could get the Dante footage, because the shit they're talking about in this movie is the shit that I'm into now. Like they're literally talking about fucking directing beams into dreams and communicating through these thoughts and processes. And then River Phoenix is hitting his role in this part because he's talking about all this digital technological stuff in this movie that was basically non-existent. This stuff was just all sci-fi that's been proven true now.
Right.
And it's just so crazy that they hit it on the head so hard back then. And with that lasting effect, I'm like, look, I would watch these movies and be interested in all this stuff, and then it'd stick into my fucking brain. And look at it now. I was literally rewatching it today. I'm like, because of these kind of movies is the kind of stuff that I'm still into now, because I'm still into aliens. I'm still into Bigfoot. I'm still into all these thoughts and processes that they put in these movies. So it literally is subconsciously ingrained in me. So it was it really fucking brought me back to damn, this is the stuff I'm still into. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's awesome.
That's a great take. Where's the movie go off the rails for you?
Movie goes off the rails basically right after they figure out the bubble. As soon as he figured out that bubble, boom, gone. There's no rhyme or reason for anything that happens. They're fucking, you know what I'm saying? It's all of a sudden it just jumps from portion to portion to portion. So all of a sudden they made it. Then all of a sudden they have a spaceship, and then all of a sudden they're in space, and then all of a sudden they're fucking, with aliens. And I'll tell you right now, this scene that you got pulled up, I looked at it and I was like, I had to go. That's why, because of this character, I had to look to see who that was, and that is the Doctor from fucking Star Trek Voyager.
Yep, that sure is. The man has got a great background. Star Trek Voyager, Star Trek First Contact. Unfortunately, they put him through the ringer here. But
he was loving it.
But yeah, I mean, basically, when they start going into space, that's where they really lose me. in this movie. So, but everything leading up to it, like that must have been the part that he edited, and he probably wanted to go add more and add like more texture to it. But JD, how about you? I know it's been a while since you watched the movie, but from your recollection.
Yeah, so I mean, as an adult, I can't help but make comparisons to something like October Sky.
Yep.
Where you've got a collection of gangly youths who are trying to reach beyond where their hands can touch. So I do wonder if there's any connection between those two movies. I don't know. Maybe October Sky will be a future episode because it's a great movie.
I had to watch it so many times in school. It really ruined it. Like every time there was a sub, she was like, I've got a video. And I was like, don't you fucking say October Sky. And they'd pull out October Sky like every time.
See, I didn't see it until I was in college. The sub videos that we always watched was like Donald Duck and mathematics.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely got those. But yeah. Once we got to like 99, 2000, like this was it. It was in like every classroom I went to. I was like, can we burn this tape? I mean, it's not that it's a bad movie. It's just
too much.
It got played out for me.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's my take on it. And I agree with everything that Ben said. I think the actors really do the best with what they have. But I think that it's like two separate movies.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it really is. And we didn't even get a chance to talk about, all the cool things that happened like at the drive-in, which was like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but like the sound effects that they use at the drive-in are literally taken straight from the 1982 Atari game, Yar's Revenge. It's straight from that. So, man, it's a shame, and this is where it kind of sucks that it was 1985 when he made the movie, because if he would have made it today when that original cut came out, it was 3 hours and 15 minutes. It's digital. It's going nowhere. But because it's film and it was Paramount and they booted him from the project, they probably just like tossed it or burned it. I don't know what you do with film or
just, it does melt away after a while. Saying they only have a certain amount of shelf life.
Right. Bury that shit like the E.T. Atari video game.
Hey, did you know that the computer that they used was supposed to look like a Mac, but it wasn't a Mac. It was like a SGC one, and that it literally cost $73,000. I think it was like they said like $73,000, and it had like 75 megabytes in it. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And I'm like, and that thing got beat to shit.
Yep, it's the SGI Iris 1400 workstation.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what? They try to pull it off as a Mac 2 or an Apple 2.
Gosh, I mean, would the Apple II have been more expensive?
I think it would have been more expensive.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, but but maybe at least that's what they had mentioned in it. And I was like, look, because I seen that computer. I was like, is that an Apple II? And I looked it up, and they're like, no, it wasn't, but they made it look like one.
That's what Microsoft is still doing to this day.
That's it.
Are those 20s? No, they're 18s, but I keep them clean.
Even great. Going through River Phoenix's stuff, I didn't realize he was young Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade.
Man, he had such a good run. We talked about this. I think when we covered Stand By Me, we talked a little bit about his career, JD, and I think I mentioned at that point like some of the roles that he had actually had lined up at the time of his death, and how they went to it was like one role went to like Johnny Depp and he got nominated for an award. Another one went to another big name guy that was up and coming. It was like all these guys got his roles and it like launched their career. And it was literally just like his next 3-4 projects. Like he was going to shoot like into the stratosphere of acting.
Oh yeah, he would.
He probably would have been Leo of this generation.
Exactly.
And Leo would be like, Edward Norton, like he would have popped up and then like flamed out at some point.
Like, who is this guy? Get him out of here!
Get out of here, Spidey. Or, no, not Spidey, but is that dude from Fight Club? No. So I mean, yeah, ultimately, I think it's a movie that's going to live on. I mean, it's still for an hour. It's a really nice movie. It's just the last like 30 minutes that I think Dante lost control of that just kind of spins out. But I think we got a lot of answers into why this movie actually flopped.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot that goes into it.
It's fucking it's bad timing, fucking piss poor, fucking executive directors. You know what I'm saying? Fucking blowing it. Oh man, this movie, like I said, I remember it. I remember being so much better, and then the aliens were just on point. You know what I'm saying? Talk about fucking where they spent the money. You know what I'm saying?
It's like Earth Girls Are Easy.
Very easy.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for Why Did This Flop? Volume 2 Explorers. We'll be back next month with an all-new episode. In the meantime, make sure you check out Ben over at the Angry Dad Podcast and I Married a Bigfoot. He's got a couple awesome shows there. You can check out a bunch of amazing podcasts over at sipnet.us. Myself and JD, you can follow us at Back in Time Pod. JD has another project called Side Quest, which you can check out. I've got Chafing the Dream, which is a weight loss journey podcast. So there's plenty of content. If you guys want to take in more, just come find us, hit us up on social media. But that's going to wrap it up. And we will talk to you guys next month with an all new episode.
See you.